Ladies and gentlemen, we warmly welcome you to yet another episode of the Rainmakers podcast. Today is going to be a very special episode too, and today, as always, we are joined by our co-host Donna Balasurya, who is a lecturer, a lawyer, and also a success trainer. Welcome, Donna. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much, Yoga. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. Now we have the pleasure of introducing the Rainmaker today. He is the Deputy Chairman of Commercial Bank, former Vice Chancellor of University of Moratuwa, board member at Sierra Cables, a commission member of University Grants Commission, and a senior professor of University of Moratuwa. He definitely is a man of many titles and who has achieved so much, and his experience is amazing. It's a CV that most of us would one day dream to have, but most of us will never be even able to go close to. We will be talking to him today about his rise from absolutely nowhere to what he is today, and also how he harnesses the potential of people at every organization that he leads. Professor, thank you very much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Donna, why don't we dig right deep into our questions?
Of course. Thank you very much, Yoga. And thank you very much once again, Professor. We welcome you to the Rainmakers podcast. And to start off with, I think looking at your profile and what you are today, I'm sure there is a history behind it. And it is correct if I say it is from the past that we gain our strength and story. So could you take us through the memory lane?
Thank you, Donna. If I tell you my memory lane, actually, I was born in a rural village in Deniaya, and I went to 5 schools before I entered the University of Moratuwa. And my father was a headmaster, my mother was a teacher, and that really helped me, I think, to come through this entire journey with that drive for education. And from that school, I actually managed from perhaps the second school. I actually managed to sit for the grade 5 scholarship examination, and having passed that, I entered the Richmond College. From there, I came to University of Moratuwa, and from University of Moratuwa, I got a first class degree in civil engineering, and that was really a memorable journey. We can expand on these later on as well.
Yes.
And at the end of that journey, I was invited to become a lecturer at University of Moratuwa. I accepted that offer, and after some time, before 1 year actually, I was given a scholarship to do my master's and PhD at the Loughborough University of Technology, UK, on a scholarship. That again is a very memorable experience, and I learned quite a lot there as well. And then, having finished that, I came and assumed duties as a senior lecturer at University of Moratuwa. There, I think maybe because of the behavior that I had as a lecturer, that I earned quite a lot of reputation as well, and perhaps as a leader and maybe change maker and opinion builder, and giving ideas for development and so on, probably brought me to management positions. But just before that, I was awarded another fellowship, actually. It's a Commonwealth Fellowship to spend my sabbatical at the Wolverhampton University in the UK once again. There I went with my family, my 2 daughters and my wife, and my elder daughter went to school there until grade 3. Of course, she was here and up to grade 2, and then grade 3 she spent there. And having done that, we came back, and I was given the position of the head of a newly established Department of Management of Technology. So I was a founder head, and I was given the responsibility to develop the management of technology expertise at Moratuwa University and provide those kind of courses. And I was instrumental in introducing the MBA course in management of technology. Having
Amazing.
led the department for 4 years, then of course I was given the headship of my own department of civil engineering, which is the largest department of University of Moratuwa. And of course, when I led that department, more than say 50% of the lecturers were my own teachers in that department, because I graduated there. So I had my professors, senior professors I had to lead, but they were really helpful, and I got
Amazing.
support from them.
We will
And
definitely have to touch on that, Professor, because to lead somebody that has taught you is going to be an interesting learning for all of us. Amazing. So we
Of
will
course.
definitely touch upon that at the latter part of the
thank you, will do.
discussion. Yeah.
And then, having done that, I was unanimously elected as the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering. And there you have 10 departments and 10 specializations. And that I held 6 years. So 3 years is a term. And the second term was also unanimously elected as the Dean of the
Amazing.
Faculty. And after 6 years of deanship, then during a slight break, I took up the position as a NDB Bank endowed professor on entrepreneurship, and that is to develop the entrepreneurship culture at the University of Moratuwa, because that was one of my passions. And I was actually promoting entrepreneurship quite a lot as a dean of the faculty as well, which is a new aspects that we really wanted to have University of Moratuwa have the cutting edge in that area.
Yeah.
Having done that, during that time, I was actually elected as the president of the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, which is the apex body for all engineers in Sri Lanka. So that was a great achievement as well, to preside over that entire body, having over 15,000 members or engineers in Sri Lanka.
Amazing.
Yeah. After that, I was elected as the vice chancellor of University of Morocco.
Wonderful.
Actually, appointment is an appointment by His Excellency the President, and so that I held 2 terms. The second term also I was okay. If I say I got 100% of the votes of the council, and the council should give votes. Of course, it's up to the president to appoint, and I was appointed for the second term as well. And so 6 years I held the post as the vice chancellor, and
Amazing.
immediately after that, I was appointed by the cabinet to lead the National Science Foundation as the director general, which I led 2 years. And my substantive post is a senior professor in civil engineering. So at this point of time, I'm actually on sabbatical leave from University of Moratuwa. When I was the vice chancellor, I was invited to be a board member of the commercial bank, a very prestigious bank. I'm not very sure why I was invited. Maybe because of the connections, maybe
I think
because
we
of
all
the
have a pretty good
that
idea,
I
Professor.
Yeah,
We
we
have a
do
pretty
have
good
the
idea.
idea.
yeah,
Yes, Professor.
yeah,
Please continue.
that's true. And then, of course, at this point of time, I'm a commission member of the University Grants Commission, supporting the policy development for the university governance, university funding, university administration, higher education policies, and so on, and serving as the deputy chairman of the commercial bank, and serving a couple of other boards, the governing boards, both in the private sector as well as in the public sector as well. So in this process, I was involved quite a lot in the policy making as well, specifically on the science and technology area, higher education area, policy making to see how best we can really improve in those aspects as well, and the industry development area to some extent as well. That's a very brief account
Amazing.
of the path, Donna and Yoga.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor. I have quite a lot of questions to like really ask from you. I think we have set questions as well, so hopefully we would be able to cover everything, because I'm sure like Yoga would also have like a lot of cross questions to ask, and definitely there is a lot that the audience itself can really learn from you. So let's see how it goes. Yoga, would you like to go for the next question?
Sure. Before we go into the next question, there are some pictures that we picked and chose so that we can show to the audience of the journey that Professor Ananda has had. Professor, please be kind enough to guide us through what this journey means to you.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, yoga, this is actually a great achievement. And when I was spending my sabbatical in the UK, I
Right.
wrote a book on construction productivity management together with two British professors. And my contribution to this book was 60%. And
Right.
it is an international publication, and it was published by the Addison Wellesley Longman. And the
Right.
publication, that kind of a book, is actually really competitive
Yes.
because publisher looks at the book quite a lot, and the content, the possibility of selling, the marketability, who writes that, and it is reviewed by eminent reviewers to see whether the content and everything is okay. So we went through a real rigorous process to publish that, and I think it is a great achievement. Basically,
Mhm.
normally, Sri Lankan, particularly engineering disciplines and all that, publishing in an international publisher like in the UK
Yeah. It's
by
very
a
good.
well-known world publisher like Addison Wellesley Longman is a great achievement. So we
Definitely.
actually published it, and because of that, it's an international publication. My university wanted to launch that book in Sri Lanka as well, and this is
Amazing.
actually launching ceremony. And chief guest was then Higher Education Minister Honorable Richard Patirana. That is this
Amazing.
picture. What you can see, I think
Definitely.
it is 1999.
99. Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing memory. Amazing memory. I think now the next picture takes you back a little further. What does this picture mean, Professor?
This one, yoga, is a real memorable one. Actually, you can immediately go down in the memory lane, and this is in my room in Loughborough University residence, and
Excellent.
I had my own room, and this is a room that I spent my time doing the masters and the PhD, and it was a great experience. And this is where, from the window, I first saw snow falling, and immense experience as well throughout. So this is my room, and when I see that, I can go down the memory lane and enjoy
Amazing.
myself quite a lot as well.
Beautiful.
And my
Beautiful. Amazing.
age was about 25 around this time. Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. This definitely looks
And
like
yeah, this is
UK,
again in
Professor.
UK. Yes, yes, this is again UK. When you are there, of course, you are going around to see the country, and this is where you. Huh? Right. So
Yeah.
this at the same time, yes.
Excellent. Beautiful. And
This
this
is my
was
this is my master's course, yoga, and I'm so happy and proud to say that my master's course in construction had 42 students from 19 countries, and I managed to become the joint first in the batch, scoring the
wow.
highest percentage. Yeah, this is
That's amazing.
yeah, when I
That's
was
amazing,
26.
Professor.
Yes, it's a
Beautiful.
master's. Yeah. This is my PhD from Loughborough University, and you can see
Good.
this paraphernalia,
Yeah.
and all these are wonderful memories. And this is
Amazing memory.
1990 January. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So how old were you when you got your PhD, Professor?
I was 1990 January is 29 years.
Oh wow. Great. Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing achievement. Some friends, I guess,
Those
Professor.
are friends of the master's course, some of the friends. And the girl is
Great.
actually from Burma. And the next to her is Sri Lankan, my colleague from University of Moratuwa as well. And
Great.
you can probably identify myself halfway through in the middle, and you have
Of
people
course.
from.
Of course.
The style is still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
So we had 42 students, yes.
Right.
This photo is actually again a great achievement, yoga. This is, you can see in the tagline in the banner, leading
Yeah.
the technology manager nation in
Yeah.
technology management. This is
Right.
actually a very new discipline in university education, managing technology. The
Right.
reason that we decided to introduce is that around 1985 in the USA, when they interviewed big company CEOs, they identified that they are losing competitiveness to other nations because of they are not managing technology very well. So therefore,
Right.
the idea here is that in any organization, if you want to really have that competitiveness nationally and globally, you need to really manage your technology. So therefore, we want to establish this technology management education at University of Moratuwa, so that our companies, our professionals actually give a necessary thought about it and emphasis about it, and they plan their developments considering the strategic involvement in technology for maintaining the competitive advantage. So we established
Fantastic.
this MBA course, I think in 2002, first time, and
Right.
we have an optional subject for the undergraduate education as well. So this is a new thing that I introduced,
So
and
this
I'm
was
very
the
happy.
first step in leading the next, means leading the nation in
Yes,
technology management. The first step, very
that's
first.
right. Yes,
Amazing, amazing. So that's a quick trip down the memory lane. Thank you very much, Professor, for taking us through that. I think this is absolute inspiration. Thank you very much, Professor. So my first question to you is: we spoke about all these amazing achievements. How many people get to achieve things like this? But people also say, in order to see the light, at times we have to go through darkness, and we have to at times fail, and fail hard and fall flat on our face in order to succeed. Would you share some of those incidents where you have failed and then you have stood up back and then fought back and have succeeded?
yeah. If you go down the memory lane, yoga, I actually consider failure, as you know, everyone knows, failures are pillars of success.
True.
And the most important thing that you learn from a failure is a lesson. And from that lesson, you rise up to do better.
Definitely.
I can, from my personal experience, I can remember a couple of times that I actually failed. Failed because of my actions, failed because of others' actions as well. One little example, but it's the most powerful example, is when I tried my best to study because of the background that I got from my father and the mother. I can remember my father was telling that, you have to be better than your parents in terms of the career and education when I was very small. I can remember my school, second school, had classes only up to six,
Great.
grade six. And so we had only three students in that class, two girls and myself. And from that class, my father actually tried to put me to Richmond College.
Right.
And he tried to make connections from the people that he knew. And I went to Richmond College with him, and to get some assistance to put me in and all that. But the principal at that time said that if you can get this endorsement from the Minister of Education, that I will take. And my father somehow or other got that endorsement. And when he was walking, he was saying, "Puta, you're very lucky to go to Richmond College," and it was one of the dreams. But with that, when we went to Richmond College, the principal at that time, he actually became very angry. How could this happen? You can't take people like that, and I'm not going to take this person. And he was blaming the Minister of Education, the person who actually endorsed and all that kind of a thing. And I actually could not enter Richmond College, and
Oh.
it was a hopeless exercise, and I was really upset about it, and my father was upset. But
Yeah.
it was a failure, but I thought that I must come to this school or even a better school. And that
Oh.
is a kind of a determination that I had.
Yeah.
And because of that, when I sat for the grade 5 scholarship examination, I could come to Richmond College. But that again is a real memorable experience, Yoga. If you would like to listen to me, I will try to
Cool.
be very
Yeah.
brief about that.
Yeah.
From my home to that school, you have about 10, maybe 11 kilometers. In any way, I had to walk about 1.5 kilometers to come to the place where bus starts, public
Yeah.
transport starts. And I
Yes.
came on that day, a fateful day where you have this scholarship examination. And I was waiting for the bus, and the bus didn't turn up. And the examination is another half an hour's time. So what I could do, it was a system failure, and I had this
Yeah.
determination to go to a better school, and
Yeah.
I started running, and I ran 6 kilometers or more than six. I think it's about 8 kilometers from that place to the school, and I was late 15 minutes. And because I was a
Wow.
good student, I was given that additional 15 minutes for the examination, and I passed that, and I could enter to Richmond College. So that was a great experience. So
What a
that's a
story!
few,
What a story,
yeah.
Professor!
Oh
I
my
have
God,
heard
yeah.
this story. I have heard this story a few times, and every single time I hear it, I always say to myself, "Is that this is like it shows how determined you were to get through and then go to the school that you always dreamt of." Absolutely amazing, beautiful. I think that created the platform for you to then go on to do things where you, whether you fail or not, your determination to succeed was always there. Just to add to that, Professor, when somebody fails, there are people who have great dreams, great vision, great passion also, and they do things wholeheartedly. But then they face a failure, they feel defeated. Not they don't feel like it's a loss, but it's a defeat. And then the passion is lost, the vision is lost, and then they don't want to go on that journey wanted to go on. What would you say, how we can deal with failure? What is one lesson that you could share with?
To deal with failure, yoga, I think you must have a vision, a target that you want to achieve. And also, you must have a value of the confidence that you can really, overcome this failure, this frustration, and then achieve that target. So when I had that failure, it's not only the desire that you need to have, yoga. It must be accompanied with the commitment. I think it is very, very important. And when that failure happened to me, I can tell that I really had that commitment. And
Yeah.
I will tell you one example where I had that commitment, yoga. That is where, when I came to University of Moratuwa, my English language was very poor. The reason for that is the two schools that I went initially did not have any English teachers. So my first English teacher I got when I was in grade 7.
Right.
And when I came to Richmond, I think I scored only 18% for the English subject. And
Right.
when I sat for the O-level examination, I was failed actually. I failed
Oh,
that
wow.
subject. First time, yeah.
Wow.
And the second time, it was a simple pass. And the third time only that I got a credit pass. And third time when I sat, I was in the university.
Oh,
And
wow.
I can
Wow.
remember that,
Amazing.
yeah,
What a
I
story.
think it is a commitment. It is a commitment, yoga, because when I was in the university, I realized that I cannot be a good engineer if I didn't improve my English.
True. Very
And
true. Amazing.
one of the professors who was still serving in the Department of Civil Engineering when I became the head of that department, he in fact was one of the most respected professors. And I used to sit in the front row for lectures, and he used to take my book because I'm a bit serious of studies. And by looking at my notes, he said that English is so obviously, I think it was the reason I didn't have a teacher. And even during Richmond, I was concentrating for the other A levels, mathematics, physics, chemistry, rather than English. We also didn't go to English lectures very much as well. Many people
Yeah.
didn't go, so I
Yeah.
also
True.
didn't go because of
I
that.
can relate.
Yeah, right. And then when he said like that, I was really determined that by the time I
May-
passed from the University of Moratuwa with a degree, I must be very good in English. Otherwise, I can't be a good engineer. At that time, I had an idea of becoming a good engineer. And so during that time, we had some rules and regulations in the class. We actually had about five friends, and we said that we need to speak in English, and if you convert your language to Sinhala, you need to buy tea for all five people. And
Very nice.
that's something. And then I got daily newspaper once a week, and when you buy daily newspaper, I used to read the entire paper whole week, because you need a whole week
Wow.
to read the entire
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
And I can remember I was questioning lecturers in English. I can still remember the mistakes that I did when I spoke. And sometimes the lecturers tend to convert that to Sinhalese, but I never converted to Sinhalese, and I spoke broken English. And when
Amazing.
I uh, just before I finished, I got the opportunity to present my project report to the lecturers for assessment. And when I presented, the same professor who really told me that English tika duralai neda, he was there. And it is he
Amazing.
who invited me to join to the lecturer panel at the final day of the examination. And immediately after joining as a temporary lecturer, I was given the task of lecturing in English for 100 students. At that time, the batch
Amazing.
size was 100. And normally, the assistant lecturers are not given immediately to lecture, but I was given. And I can still remember the kind of the gears we call gears, right? The so-called gears. I think in Toastmastering, you really measure them. Whether you use
Yes.
these filler words like "I know,"
Yes.
"of course," all these things
Yes.
were like gears that you turn to your subject and things like that. So I can
Yeah.
still remember that I was using those kind of gears,
Yeah.
filler words to do that. But I'm so happy to say that I was considered as one of the best lecturers even at that time. Yeah. So that's the
Professor,
determination.
what an amazing story. Amazing story. In the sense, I cannot. First of all, thank you very much for sharing. What happens is people do not share stories like this. We get to a place like a person like you achieving amazing things, and then they just tell the good things and not failures. But you were so free enough to say you failed in English the first time, second time it was a simple pass, third time while you were in the university, you were determined enough to go back and do your O-level English paper and then get a credit pass. Absolutely amazing, Professor. And you said to deal with failure, have a vision that is very compelling, and then have the commitment to go after it. And irrespective of whether you fail, don't treat it like a defeat, but continue to move towards it till you succeed. Amazing. Thank you very much, Professor, for sharing. Absolutely. I have goosebumps and I feel motivated to do something something more than what I had been doing. Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing. Donna?
Yeah, of course. So as Yoga said, I mean, it's such an inspiring story, Professor. Like, I just want to, before I go to the next question, I just want to know, because that you have had like so much experience in different leadership positions, from the corporate sector, the private sector, to like the public. I just want to know, do you believe, now you have been invited for so many designations to handle different sets of teams, like different from different backgrounds. Do you believe in luck, or do you believe in hard work? Because you have got so many opportunities here and there. What do you think? Do you believe in luck, or is it purely your hard work?
Donna, my journey is not because of luck. It is always hard work to some extent. I think I heard people saying, my relatives saying, that I cut my own road. That is the example that they told me. And I don't think I actually got anything because of luck. Um, Something that I really wanted to have was when I was given a responsibility. In fact, I can say that I myself didn't have a personal target. My target was always to do best when I'm given a responsibility and when I'm invited to do. And that really opened up different pathways. And given the opportunity, I do best, and it opens up another pathway like that. So it goes on like that. So that was something that happened to me, Donna. It's really hard work in that context. Yes.
All right, amazing, amazing. So I think there is one learning point to everyone. That is, if you're given with an opportunity to always do your best so that it opens up new opportunities. So I think that's a very good learning point. And my next question is, Professor, when we are working on a long-term vision, we might have to sacrifice short-term pleasures. So it would feel like a pale and joyless endeavor. So how to keep up the motivation?
Yeah, motivation is Donna always when you know that you need to do best, right? Because with your values that you are afraid of certain things. Because with the values that you have, if you are given a responsibility, you don't want to break the trust that other people have on you, and you tend to do your best. And sometimes you have these failures, but still, when you, I think in my case, rather than my own failures or own way of own achievements, Donna, when an opportunity is given to me, I was trying hard to achieve the best for the organization or the position that I was given in that official duty, rather than my personal gain. Of course,
Amazing.
I was really considering that I need to do best. If at all that I develop my personal capabilities, and the way that I approach is actually to do better, so that I maintain that trust and the confidence that the others trusted upon you. And for that purpose, I develop my gaps and capabilities as you go ahead. But main purpose was to do my best for the organization or the position that I worked for, and that was my motto throughout, Donna.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. I think that is there are like 2 points where, of course, you're trying your best to do when there's an opportunity given, and also like you're going beyond that and actually trying to serve the people who have really trusted you in the particular work or the task. So amazing. Thank you very much for the inspiration, Professor. There's so much to learn. Yoga.
Professor, the next question comes from a place of a few people I have heard saying that if, despite their qualification, despite their experience, despite their achievements, whether in professionally or in personal life, people say that there is a ceiling that stops them from going to the absolute top. You are a person who has gone on to break all of them and achieve the highest rung, reach the highest rungs in leadership. How did you break those barriers? I'm sure you face those barriers too. How did you break those barriers, Prof?
Yoga, I think, to break those kind of barriers, and you have this some kind of a ceiling that you have you know set up in your mindset, right? So it's a misnomer. You think that you can't go beyond that, or whatever it is that you have set that limit. But I think it is a confidence. The key factor is a confidence, and really confident, you can overcome these barriers. So this confidence comes in observing other people as well, Yoga, because when you observe other people, their performance and their behavior, their capabilities, you think that you have a better vision, maybe better way of handling, and maybe better capabilities, even if you don't have those kind of capabilities readily available, but you can actually get these capabilities, and then do that. So I have been observing people, and I had that confidence that I can actually do a better job. And that confidence actually came with a idea of the vision, Yoga, because I can say that I was actually strong in my vision most of the time. That
Right,
vision drove me to many places. I can
right,
remember that when I was head of the civil engineering department, senior people, they were saying that when you become the dean or when you become the vice chancellor, maybe they saw some kind of a way that I respond to various situations and handle various situations. they identified those kind of capabilities, and I took sense, maybe, right? And I have that long-term vision in that context. So that created me. So I was always looking at the short-term kind of targets or whatever. Whenever it responded, I was relating always to the long-term vision, and that actually opened up opportunities for University of Moratuwa, various opportunities. And it so happened when I was a head of management, that's the first time that I was appointed as a head, and I was made as a co-chairman for the development of the corporate plan for University of Moratuwa, and I was
Right.
heading the corporate plan development 3 times until I as the vice chancellor. So 3 times in the sense that 15 years I was leading the development of the corporate plan of the University of Moratuwa. Of course, it is with all the ideas of the others. It is necessary that you get all the ideas. It's a bottom-up kind of a development. But I was instrumental in getting those kind of ideas and do it. I think it is a strength that I had, and
Yeah.
that drove me the entire journey, Donna. I think
Professor,
that's
so
something I'm very happy and proud of.
what you're saying, yeah, I mean, actually, Professor, what you're saying is do not focus whether there is a ceiling or not. If you have a vision and have the commitment, you can still go and achieve whatever it is. And what I think from what you say, I understand is that do not yourself with what others are doing, what others are saying, whether you get opportunities today or not, but happen for the future, and then be committed and go towards it. Everybody can achieve these goals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
One small point, Yoga, that in doing so, when I was given an opportunity, say for example, it might be deputy chairman or board member of the commercial bank, and of course you can see that I really don't have a banking background.
Yeah,
It's that maybe visionary background to some extent, a
yeah,
strategic
right.
background to some extent, and I was always trying to identify my gaps in which area, which expertise I don't have, which knowledge area I need to really gain. And I identified myself, the areas, those kind of gaps that I need to fill. I commit myself to fill these gaps so that by the time I am challenged to face that situation, as much as possible, I'm ready to do that as well. So that is
I think what
another.
you're also saying is to be a lifelong learner. Don't stop education just because you had your PhD at 29, as you said. Do not stop there. It is a continuing process. Amazing. Fantastic,
Exactly,
Yes.
Professor.
exactly. Yeah.
And
Fantastic.
also, I think
Fantastic.
adding to what Professor said, I think it's quite evident from the story that you shared also that when you were trying to get into Richmond College, there was definitely a barrier of like it was definitely a ceiling, glass ceiling, which really stopped you from getting there at first because it was beyond your control that the headmaster or the principal did not accept you despite the permission given from the minister, right? So those are things like any person would face during their lifetime, like, and especially I wanted to ask this question. I was discussing with Yoga also, like that, like especially when it comes to corporate sector, Professor, everyone used to say, okay, there are politics and then they don't give promotions, or there are personal favorations, this and that and all that. So these are definitely glass ceilings which are there, which are like inevitable, and also which is beyond your control, that you can't avoid it. So I mean, in such situations also, what you're suggesting is to everyone is to like have a clear vision for yourself, and if you have that, like things will come to you despite all the barriers and all the roadblocks. Am I
Thank you.
correct,
Is that
Professor?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Exactly.
great?
Yeah,
Great.
they will come
Okay,
and open up your opportunities. You don't want to really go behind those kind of opportunities. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Excellent.
amazing.
Fantastic, Professor. Thank you very much. Now, I think we have been discussing a lot of things that are very heavy. Why don't we take a
Yeah,
break, a moment, and then have a little bit of fun, then come back to serious questions yet
of
again.
course.
Professor, shall we go on to rapid fire questions? Are you ready?
Yeah. Okay. We'll try.
Excellent. Here we go then. Here we go. All right, this is the rapid fire questions. Donna, take it over.
I think you have to share it. I can't see the whole thing, Yoga. I only see the little thumbnails.
No?
No, it's not. It's not visible. Shall we go to the next question so that you
Yes,
can
sure.
sort it
Sure,
out
we
till
will do
then?
that. Yeah, we will do that.
Sure. So the next question, Professor, is that as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Moratuwa, you would have dealt with the smartest of the minds in the country. So a mind can only thrive in a free environment, but it cannot come at the cost of discipline also. So how do we strike the right balance between having freedom as opposed to the other extreme of it, the discipline?
Donna, is a very, very important question and a challenge actually. Now, what I did was, Donna, obviously University of Moratuwa, both in terms of academic community and student community, they are front end. They are always leading and very high end people. And so, obviously, when you consider the accountability, the academic aspect of it, we give them freedom because I think Moratuwa is one of the great models where you allow the academics to have their freedom to go to the industry, get experience, involve with the industry, do consultancies, share your expertise, bring in case studies to university, use those case studies to teach people, innovate and transfer those kind of technologies, hold good positions like director boards of the institutions, become chairman of the institution and all that. That is actually with the idea of exposing them to outside world so that they obviously become better leaders and better teachers because they then talk with their own personal experiences and personal case studies, and that is very, very useful. And I was having that idea, if you really teach only without having these kind of interactions with the outside world, you then only teach the subject, and I don't think that you can probably produce better graduates. So we were
Yeah.
allowing teachers to do that. And not only me, I think vice chancellors, my successors, predecessors was also trying to do that. But I was a great promoter of this aspect as a dean as well, not only as a vice chancellor, even as a head. While we do that, in order to maintain the academic accountability, we have been having academic accountability work norms. So as long as the teacher delivers their lectures without cutting any lectures and all that, as long as we see their research outputs in terms of research publications, as long as we don't get any complaints, that we get good student feedback and all that, they have done their job. And beyond that, we would like them to go out and do it, and that is the academic side. Now from the student side again, you allow them to do whatever they want, allow them to do extracurricular activities, sports, and become a toastmaster, a cavalier, or a lion, or a leo, or rotaract, or whatever. We were really promoting these kind of extracurricular activities because as a graduate, as an engineer, you must have these kind of attributes. It's not only knowledge, it is all human qualities, it is initiative. All these attributes need to be developed because we want to make sure when our graduates pass out, they have these kind of graduate attributes. So we allow their freedom. However, we were maintaining, we were making sure that normally these problems and disciplines come when you have politics, right? So we were really telling students, right, you can have your political ideologies or whatever, leave them outside the university. Don't bring it any politics. You can do whatever extracurricular activities. You can provide any leadership, but no politics in that context, right? And if you prevent that politics, normally student discipline is very easy to maintain. And we also maintain very close, cordial relationship with the students. I think unlike most universities, perhaps, we made sure that dean meets all student leaders once a month. Vice chancellor meets all the student leaders as well as all staff unions once a month, and we have been having a very good communication throughout. I think this communication is very important, and during this communication, we need to let them realize that we are genuinely trying to solve their problems. We do need to take actions to genuinely solve their problems. The moment they realize that we are honest, we are trying genuinely to solve their problems, and we take actions for the best interest of their future and the best interest of the organization, I think discipline can be maintained. And that's the secret that we have been having, Donna. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're saying is, I mean, of course, you cannot allow either of the extremes, and you will not be able to thrive or excel with either of the extremes. Definitely, the balance has to be struck, and I think it's a very contextual really decide where and when to really strike the balance. So I thank you very much, Professor Yoga. Are you ready with the
Amazing.
rapid fire questions?
Question to ask, and we will
Yeah,
get there.
of course.
Professor, I am interested in knowing. You spoke in
Sure.
detail about dealing with students, the brightest brains of the country, and all of that. I would like to ask now, in the corporate world, we usually focus on speed, and what they say is alone we can go faster, but together we can go further. how would you how do you build a collaborative culture within the corporate world, Professor?
Yoga, I think you are very correct. It is not only in the corporate world, anywhere, you should not go on your own. You need to really collaborate, build your team, go together with the team. And I have many examples in the University of Moratuwa and even elsewhere that we go as a team, not just individually. And I have observed that the people who went individually, the moment they lose power, all their initiatives are lost as well. Nothing continuing, right? All your followers, subordinates will abandon what you have initiated. But on the other hand, if you go together with the team and you tell the team and you get input from the team, and any decisions that you take, either you convince the team and get their support, and when you convince the team and get their support, it might take trouble, it might take long. And if you take a decision, you can take a decision at any moment, but if you want to really get the consensus, it might even take several months. And I have many examples in the University of Moratuwa. After that, once you take that decision, then you get the full support from everybody. And even if you have left the position, you will see that all the decisions that you have taken together are continuing. And I'm so happy to say many of those things that I took at the University of Moratuwa, even as a dean, as a vice chancellor, as the head of department, and some of these initiatives are still continuing because we took those kind of decisions with the team, collaborative approach, collaborative. And even for the lectures, I was always promoting that we need to collaborate between departments, and sometimes the department tend to do their courses only through the department, and I was really trying to promote we need to collaborate between the departments, we need to collaborate between the faculties, between the universities, and even universities and industry, and we have been really promoting those, and I'm so happy
Amazing.
that Moratuwa is actually having those kind of industry collaborations quite a lot because of these kind of collaborations, and that is a strength. And even if you do research yoga, unless you collaborate, the results that you get might not be really implementable because you come out with a solution to a problem from your own perspective. And when you collaborate, when you have multidisciplinary expertise and the problem is looked at from all sorts of point of view, and your solution has been tested by many directions with the collaborations, obviously that solution is the best solution that you can get, and it is very sustainable and fruitful and successful. And that's That's how we need to do. And the collaboration is a success all the time, Yoga. You must go for it.
Amazing, amazing, Professor. Thank you very much for clarifying and giving examples of how we have practically implemented them. Thank you very much. Yona?
Yeah. So I think we're ready to go for the rapid fire questions.
Definitely.
Brilliant. All right. So Professor Ananda, are you a coffee person or a tea guy?
Normally a tea guy. Occasionally I love coffee as well.
Awesome. I think that's me also. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I always wanted to be an engineer, Donna, because I can remember that even when I was in the Richmond College, when my teacher asked, I said I want to become an engineer. He laughingly said, "Engineer tamai," something like that. He was sarcastic. He was sarcastic.
But look at you now. Amazing, brother.
Yeah. Most used app on your smartphone.
At the moment, is WhatsApp all the time. Yes.
Oh,
Of
yes.
course, for all of us.
Of course. Who do you admire the most and why? Interesting.
Yeah.
I admire honest people. I admire people having very good qualities and things like that, and I really become very friendly with them, and I open up my heart to them, heart in the sense that in all the aspects. Yeah, right.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful. Best way to run a meeting is?
Of course, I think with all the experience, you need to be very, very well prepared. You must have an agenda. You must allow everybody to talk, and you should not allow somebody to dictate and give opportunity for all the other people to give ideas. And that's the best way, I think.
Collaborate.
Amazing.
Again, you're touching
Collaborate,
upon
of course,
collaboration.
yes.
Yeah, collaborate, yes. The first car you ever owned was?
My first car was a Opali Fiat, Donna.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. Never heard of it, Professor. Never heard of it.
43,000 rupees. When it was halfway through my studies in the UK, I came to Sri Lanka and bought a Opali Fiat. Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Amazing. After your smartphone, what's the one gadget you can't live without?
I have to live with my iPad actually, because most of my documents and corporate documents are there in the iPad. My plans and my checklists and all that, it's in the iPad. Yes.
Nice. What was the toughest period of your career?
I have been always considering every period is a tough period, Donna, because I was actually creating my own toughness in my life. But however, you can say that it is during the vice chancellor period, because you need to do parallel processing of many things, and it's tough because of time management that you really need. Yeah.
Nice. What is the one attribute that every good team member should have?
I think it is interpersonal relationships and mutual respect.
Nice.
Amazing. Beautiful answer.
The one trait that won't get someone hired at commercial bank?
Honesty. Integrity and honesty, yes.
Right. So, okay.
Professor, you
So
did
that's
very
about
well.
it, I think. Brilliant. So
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I think it's really good to really lift the personal veil and then get to know you more personally, Professor. Thank you very much for the genuine, the most honest answers that you gave. So Yoga, are you ready to go for the next question?
Yes, I think we are almost coming to the end, so we will condense the answers and questions as much as possible. Try to get as much as possible from Professor Ananda. Professor,
Yeah.
one of the things that we see is that now is considered to be a competitive advantage. At an organization like the commercial bank, one of the leading organizations of not only the industry but also Sri Lanka, how do you cultivate a good corporate culture as competitive advantage?
Yoga, I think corporate culture is not something that you can quickly build. it takes long time to develop a culture in an organization. It's just like a footprint. And my instinct in the corporate bank, commercial bank is not really very long, several years though. But the commercial bank culture, corporate culture has been there, growing and developing throughout. And I think what we need to do is we need to understand what we really value, right? I think as a corporate citizen, a commercial bank really value the customer relationships, the trustworthiness, the honesty, the people can rely as a bank, and then only that you really get the services of the bank, and the bank can grow as well. So we really develop this. We want to make sure, even at the board level, we want to make sure that right from the top level, we demonstrate that. We demonstrate that
Right.
we really value these kind of customer relationships, providing the best experience for the customers, and honesty, integrity, compliance, all of those. So I think with our standards that we maintain, that we developed, we can gradually develop and improve and bring the organization to greater heights. Yoga. So that's basically what we have been doing, and what we need to do to create that kind of a culture which becomes better and better, and which supports our competitive advantage compared to other competitors. Yoga. Hope that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Professor. It's clear that it's important. How would you rate the corporate culture of the company? As how important is it compared to the other features and elements of the corporate plan?
Yoga, I think it is definitely very, very important, because without a corporate culture, you cannot consider sustainability in your growth. I think as a big organization, or any organization where you want to look to the future, not really going for short-term profits, but long-term stability, long-term growth, you must have that kind of a corporate culture developing. So the idea here is not to look at short term, but to look at long term, to see that you create that image in your customers, so that the customers will not view and will always follow you. Even customers have better deals, they will always trust you as a partner who can be really trusted, and who will look after you when you are in danger, when you are in difficulty. So we have been doing those kind of things. I think yoga, we need to continue those kind of things to have that competitive advantage.
And the sustainability of the growth. I like the point that you made there.
Exactly, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Professor. Donna?
Yeah, of course. So we're heading on to the last question today, for today, Professor. That is, how important is the role of communication in harnessing the true potential of people, in your opinion?
Donna, I think communication is, you and I basically as Toastmasters also understand communication is extremely important, because I realize my communication is very important from my small days as well, starting from my language. And even when I did my PhD, I made sure that I buy a synonym dictionary and identify how to write my thesis best. I can proudly say, even now, I can show my PhD thesis to anyone, because I did my best in doing that. Having done that, I realized that if you really want to lead an organization, you must be a good communicator in all aspects. Now, when you say communicator, I think that is not only the ability to put across your ideas. It also includes your ability to listen to or take positively the constructive criticisms and suggestions given by the others, and how to take those kind of on board. And that's a part of the communication. It also has the ability, your ability, to provide your feedback, your constructive feedback and suggestions to the others that you lead at the correct time, and that's a part of communication as well. Now, if you do this with the interpersonal relationship, with democratically eliciting this kind of information, I think that those kind of things are essential qualities that you should have as a leader. So therefore, I think communication in that context, Donna, is extremely important to be successful as a leader.
Yeah, brilliant. I think you made a very good point there, Professor. I mean, it's not just about effectively communicating what you want to say to the other person, but it's also about how you can accept and give feedback at the same time, because that's where obviously the growth comes into play, right? So, amazing. Very well done, Professor, in terms of the contribution that you're making to the society. I think it's brilliant, and it's we are honored to have you at the Rainmakers podcast, because you're a role model that many people are looking up to. And I'm pretty sure that the audience would get inspired after this podcast. So thank you for joining with us. And I would now hand over the controls to Yoga to do the concluding remarks for the day.
Thank you very much, Professor. Absolutely amazing experience to have had this chat with you. What an inspiration from such humble beginnings to the highest rungs of leadership and beyond. Thank you very much for opening up and sharing with us your story, your secrets, and your failures and success, so that people like us can learn from it and one day go on to grow to the levels that you have set the high bars to. So hopefully, one day people will be inspired to go on the journey and succeed. Thank you very much. You are true. You are a true rainmaker, and thank you very much for joining us and taking time to be part of it and then share your knowledge and experience. Also, I have to
My
say,
pleasure. My
thank,
pleasure, Yoga and Dona, and it was amazing, and it was a wonderful experience and opportunity that I had to share my experience. Thank you for taking me to Rainmakers and having a very fruitful kind of a discussion. All the
thank you
very
very much,
best.
Professor. Thank you very much. I loved how you emphasized repeatedly on a few things, on to have a vision, have the commitment to go through that vision, and also not only be a loner but also to collaborate with others to succeed. These are messages and lessons that we will take away from this podcast, and I'm sure we will all be able to implement it and grow. Thank you very much, Professor. It was a pleasure. Next week on the Rainmakers podcast, we have the country manager of Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, Sri Lanka, Ms. Zahara Ansari. We will meet you in that next episode. Very much for joining us today. Appreciate it. Have Be safe and have a good week. Thank you very much.